Today we are exploring an important topic to most any town: economic development. In Kiowa County, as with anywhere, the goal is to bring in new businesses, as well as support those that have proven they have staying power. Well, Greensburg State Bank is a local business that I think it would be fair to say has staying power. Since in July of 2014, the bank celebrated its 90th anniversary. Clearly, they know what they're doing, and Bank President Tom Corns was gracious enough to give us a little history. Greensburg State is unique, not only because they have been in business 90 years, but also because they are one of an ever-decreasing number of locally owned banks. In 1924, F.V. Corns, who was working as a telegrapher for the Rock Island, met a claims agent named Rao. Knowing Greensburg needed a bank, F.V. left Norton for Kiowa County. And so began the saga of the Corns banking history here in Greensburg. 90 years later, we still need Greensburg State Bank. In all those years, there's always been a Corns at the helm. Bob Corns, F.V.'s son, was working as an aeronautical engineer. But when World War II ended and his work was phased out, he returned to Greensburg, beginning his career as a teller. And from 1947 until his passing in 1991, Bob Corns was the face of our local bank. Now his son Tom, who returned to his hometown 39 years ago, also beginning his work here as a teller, serves as president. Certainly, a locally owned, family-run bank is unique, but Tom Corns also sees the mutual reliance between the bank and the community as one of its advantages. They are not a branch, and there is no mother bank. Greensburg State Bank needs Kiowa County, and that makes Tom feel good. Although focusing on the 2000 tornado is not our goal, it is safe to say that it did present an interesting set of challenges. Apparently, there were 61 businesses of various types prior to the storm, and Tom said that immediately after the destruction, 60 of them made the commitment to return. Now, that decision challenged both the bank and the business owners in ways they had never imagined. As he looks back on those years, Tom says, knowing that you can face anything after having gone through the trials of completely rebuilding a business builds confidence and reminds us that we can face all kinds of challenges. What makes him feel good is that even though Greensburg is smaller, we are more vital, we are younger, and we have more families. And he's proud of what we are and what we are becoming. Now, for me personally, the most memorable picture I have of Greensburg State comes in the aftermath of the tornado. Here their tellers were, cash boxes set up on tables outside the street in an area the National Guard had cleared so that they could go to work. President Tom Corns declared, you know what? People need money. They need cash just so they can have basics like shoes, clothes, food. He says he directed the tellers to cash any check on any bank. I say thanks, Tom. I'm one of those who was there that first day, and I appreciate your family's commitment to the last 90 years in Kiowa County. Of course, not every business in Greensburg is 90 years old. An example of a newer business is the clothing store Turquoise Ranch, owned and managed by Jennifer Greenleaf. Somehow, she has figured out how to juggle a business, a husband, and 3 children. Jennifer first opened Turquoise Ranch, a mainstream boutique with a Western decor, in June of 2010. When I asked Jennifer how she chose the name, she confessed to just loving all things turquoise, plus she was raised on a ranch in South Dakota, hence Turquoise Ranch. Here's a little look into what went into her business plan. Prior to opening her clothing store, Dwayne Shank Motors employed Jennifer as their business manager. She said she learned a great deal about accounting in that position and continues to put those skills to work today. Looking for a more flexible schedule that would still allow her to earn money, Jennifer started small by doing trunk shows for her friends. Well, that venture was so successful, she expanded, setting up vendor booths in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and South Dakota. I admire her for that. It was so wise on her part because she was already starting to establish a loyal customer base that extended far beyond Kiowa County's borders. The first 3 years of her store being opened, she continued to attend women's fairs, rodeos, craft shows, promoting her business and the merchandise she had to offer women and teenagers. In 2012, Kiowa County United gave her the opportunity to move Turquoise Ranch to Highway 54, and she jumped at the chance. And that is where you will find her store today. When it comes to owning your own place, Jen sees hiring the right person to fill the gaps as her greatest challenge. For anyone thinking about opening a business of her own, Jennifer advises that she figure out the right marketing channels and stay on top of them. And that's just what she did. As a Turquoise Ranch customer, I can attest to the fact that Jennifer runs a customer-first kind of business, which is just exactly the type of store I like to patronize. Jennifer, you are the kind of small business owner we appreciate. So continued success with your boutique. Please come back after the break so that you can meet Sue Greenleaf, the woman whose job it is to find creative ways of attracting businesses to our little neck of the woods.
Kiowa County, Kansas was established in 1874. Many changes have taken place during the past 140 years, but one thing has remained the same. The people of this community are committed to continued progress for the entire county. In 1884, the city of Haviland was established in eastern Kiowa County. It was settled by Quakers from Indiana and has had a church and school for over 100 years. Barclay College, located in the north part of Haviland, is operated by the Friends Church. The college has continued to prosper and grow over the past several years and now houses over 200 students on campus and provides distant learning opportunities for students all over the country and around the world. The Haviland Airport has been operating since 1970 and has offered flight instruction for over 40 years. Another business unique to Haviland is the Haviland Telephone Company. It was established in 1949 and now provides telephone and internet service to over 40 communities. Origins is a unique free trade coffee shop located on Haviland's Main Street, along with a barber shop and a hardware grocery store that also serves lunch specials. Haviland offers an assisted living facility, a medical clinic, and a grade school serving students kindergarten through 8th grade. Every August, folks of all ages gather for the Antique Implement and Thrasher Show. This provides a rare glimpse of farming practices from 100 plus years ago when many machines were powered by steam and horse-drawn wagons hauled the grain. And don't forget to stop at the new antique store, locally owned and located just south of Highway 54. You're sure to find a treasure in this beautifully arranged collection of antiques. Mullenville, located on the west side of the county, is home of the Country Cafe, a great locally owned family restaurant that plays host to wind turbine operators, area farmers and ranchers, as well as many families who enjoy the down-home style cooking. The 21st Century Learning Center is located in Mullenville and serves as a virtual school for more than 350 students from across the state. Kiowa County and Wright Co-op, as well as the Haviland State Bank and Zimmerman Abstract and Title, have businesses on Main Street. A recently dedicated Veterans Memorial honoring Kiowa County veterans dating back to the Civil War is located on Main Street and Highway 400. Numerous travelers on Highway 400 are amused and entertained by M.T. Liggett's artistic creations that line the highway west of town. Just a short drive off the beaten path, tourists can't help but be fascinated by the 16-sided round barn. The Fromy Burney Round Barn is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. This unique building is located south of Mullenville and is open to the public free of charge year-round. Greensburg is the county seat and serves as a link between the two towns. With help of our supporting communities, Greensburg was able to move forward after the devastating EF5 tornado that leveled the town in 2007. Greensburg is the home of Kiowa County High School, where students from all over the county are educated in one of the most high-tech schools in the state. Greensburg has long held the distinction of having the world's largest hand-dug well as their claim to fame. With the recently dedicated new Big Well Museum and gift shop, tourism continues to be a major industry for the community. New attractions to Greensburg offer more than just a hand-dug well to explore. There's the Kiowa County Commons, which is home to an old-time soda fountain, as well as the Kiowa County Historical Museum. In addition, the 547 Arts Center, named after the date of the tornado and designed by students from the University of Kansas School of Architecture, showcases a variety of artists' works, as well as providing space for numerous community activities. Kiowa County is fortunate to have the Kiowa County Memorial Hospital and Greensburg Family Practice in addition to a pharmacy located within the hospital to address the community's medical needs. Between the Sunships Business Incubator and Kiowa County United, many businesses have found a home on Greensburg's Main Street. Also located on Main Street are Prairie Point Apartments featuring 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. Kiowa County Senior Center is located just across the street, providing an enjoyable place for our seniors to visit and share crafts, as well as enjoy a wonderful noon meal. Additional businesses as well as restaurants can be found along Highway 54 as one drives through town. Memorial Day weekend is a special one in Greensburg. Over the course of the weekend, high school alumni gather to visit with old friends and celebrate class reunions. Happily, the Arts and Crafts Fair made a comeback a few years ago and is part of the downtown festivities. The Greensburg Triangle Rodeo Club hosts an annual rodeo every spring. This tradition has been going strong for more than 50 years. Other events throughout the year include the Hometown Halloween, the annual Rotary Lighted Christmas Parade, the Parade of Homes, and the hosting of an annual soup supper by local Fellowship of Christian Athletes, held in conjunction with other holiday activities. Haviland produces a live nativity every other year, and Mullinville's God's Acre auction, held every year, is always a hit with community members as well as tourists in the area. Greensburg's Industrial Park is located on the east side of town and is ready for manufacturers to find a home. With the development of a new airport, in addition to county and city incentives, the communities of Kiowa County are postured for new industry. Whether you are looking for a place to enjoy the weekend, or just a few days away from your hectic lifestyle, or maybe you're looking for a safe, wholesome place to raise a family, you found it. Kiowa County, Kansas.
Welcome back to Sit Down with Susan. Today we're visiting with Sue Greenleaf, our Kiowa County Economic Development Board Coordinator. And we're standing on the east side of Greensburg in our industrial park. Good morning, Sue. I'm so glad that you could be with us. So we have an industrial park. When can we expect industry?
Well, that's a good question. We have been able to utilize it with the pipeline people, as they have used this as a base for them.
Oh.
And that's been good. Doesn't necessarily address what someone typically thinks of the industrial park, but we have a renter, so that's good. It's very important at this point to be poised for someone looking for a company. And that's why the city decided to have an industrial park after the tornado. Would we have liked industry to come in a little quicker and sooner? Of course we would.
Sure.
And we weren't holding all the cards, and we're still not. But with this industrial park, we are poised for an industry to come.
What would it take, like if an industry decided to come, is it really just really ready to go for them out here?
Yes, it is.
Like their utilities,
yes.
and whatever they might need to run their business?
Yes, it is primed and ready to go. What we need is an industry who is willing to put a building here. That will be their investment. What I have seen come across my desk in the past few weeks they need a building that's already there.
I see.
So that's one of the challenges we have, but the location is good. We're on a major highway. We're close to an airport. We're working on our own airport. We're close to railroad station. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of things going for us, but a building on site right now is something that we don't have.
And that is, the board is pretty firm on, if a business is going to come, that is just part of their obligation. That's part of the piece, is that they will need a building. Well, because how would you know how to anticipate the needs of what kind of building a future business would need?
Exactly. And the point that you start with is a negotiation item. You know, this is what we can do. What else can we do to help you with what you need to do? What the board is firm, and I'll spread that out a little bit. It's not just the Economic Development Board. It's the board represents the city and the county.
Right.
And so the discussion needs to involve Economic Development Board, the city council, the city administrator, the county commissioners, and private enterprise as well. Because when it really comes down to it, if all those things work together,
Right.
that's the biggest plus. So the ground is just here for all the other players to work with.
I can see why they need a coordinator. My word, that's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that have to go into a solution.
It is, and I will tell you, the people we've had before have been economic development directors, and prior to being a paid person, I was on the Economic Development Board, and what insight I got from that experience was to learn that no one can direct this to happen. It needs to be somebody who can coordinate
And
the efforts of
facilitate.
other people and facilitate. And as you will probably be able to tell by this interview, I can coordinate and pull people together that know more about it than I do. But
that's your job.
that's my job.
That is your job.
And the passion is probably one of the pieces that I bring to the table, because this is a community I grew up in, and I will be here till they take me away from it. And I want the best for the people who live here, and want the best for people who want to come here. I was interested yesterday. Of course, the wind wasn't blowing, and we had a delegation of people here from South Korea, and we asked them what they thought of Greensburg and the area, and they liked that they could see forever, and they even alluded to the fact that it seemed close to heaven. And I thought, I'm glad they were here on a good day. So
We've seen there are a couple days during the year. Maybe it's doesn't seem quite as close to heaven as it might right now.
well,
But that's
there
good.
is, but I thought, oh, good, they're going to go home and talk about Kansas as being close to heaven, and we need to think about that a little bit too. It is so good to get other people's perspective. They listed the cities that they were in attendance while they were in the United States,
Right.
and it was Washington, D.C., New York, Greensburg, and Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Oh my gosh.
So we're in pretty top
We
billing.
are. We
So
are. Good for us.
That's one of the things that I think the people who live here need to be aware of, is the way we are viewed from the outside. That's pretty top billing.
That is. That definitely is. And so we'll come back in a moment to our studio. We're going to leave this little bit of heaven and go inside and talk more with Sue Greenleaf in just a few minutes.
The internet has drastically changed the way we communicate. Are you keeping up with the times? The Kiowa County Media Center can connect you with viewers in markets all over the region, the state, and the world. Our technology keeps us on pace with the high demand of internet video content. Bring your audience from anywhere in the world to your wedding, conference, sporting event, concert, and much more. No one does high-quality video streaming like us. We are the Kiowa County Media Center, leading the new age of communication.
Hi, welcome back to Sit Down with Susan. We're back in the studio with Sue Greenleaf, who is the coordinator of the Economic Development Board here in Greensburg. Sue, if you're presenting Greensburg's assets or the assets of Kiowa County to a prospective business, what do you see as what we have to offer someone who might be interested in coming to our neck of the woods?
That reminds me of the politician who it kind of depended on what audience he was talking to of what speech he gave. But I think the biggest draw for Greensburg and Kiowa County, or the thing that I try to get people to understand, that we offer something a little more unique than just any other small town. And I know it's important for us as a community to showcase what it is we have that they can't find in another town. Greensburg has a couple of those things. For one thing, they can't find a big well in any other town. But that is
World's largest hand-dug well, by the way,
yes.
not just any big old well.
That's exactly right. But that is more of the tourism aspect. But what do we offer that a lot of small towns in western Kansas our size don't? One of those things is the school. There are very few small communities that have a state-of-the-art, not only 21st century learning situation, but a green, sustainable building. And that brand, the sustainable brand, has brought a lot of good things to Greensburg.
Right, absolutely.
We also, it's, I think, a double-edged sword, because I was surprised when I was at the State Fair the last couple of years, the number of people who think in order to live in Greensburg, you have to be...
If you're not platinum LEED certified,
Right.
then you just need to move on down the road.
Exactly.
But not the
So,
case.
No, that is not the case, and we do our best to let them know that although we do promote sustainability and taking care of our resources, you are encouraged to build as green as you can afford.
Right.
And if that just means that you don't have any leaks in your window, that's as green as you can afford. That was supposed to be a joke because, you know, everybody wants to not have leaks in their windows.
Although we did find after the storm that when you don't have any leaks, you do have a little moisture condensation on the inside here. None of us had ever had such tight houses before. And we're like, oh, we didn't even realize this happened.
Oh, that's, I bet that's
So,
true.
See, there's a downside,
Yes,
but it's
there
okay.
is. Did that answer your question?
Well, it did. And you know, I was wondering, I think our population that we have now is also an asset. You know, we have a younger population now than we did prior to 2007.
That's true. And I was just visiting earlier with the delegation that's here from South Korea, and they were asking about the demographics, the age group, how it broke down, and how it was different prior to the storm as to now. And you just hit on that point that we have more younger people here, but I elaborated that with them just a little bit because part of those young people are people who have come back.
Right.
And I don't think had we had a tornado, we would have had the young people come back that we have. So I think that shows their passion for our community and their hope for our community.
And it shows a lot of commitment on their part to make the decision to be maybe a little uncomfortable for a while, since they were probably fairly comfortable wherever they were doing whatever it was they were doing.
Yes.
To come back and have so many demands on their time, but yet they do it with such vigor and such eagerness to make Kiowa County the best it really can be.
And energy.
Oh, definitely energy.
I've noticed that they have a lot more energy than...
They make me think of if you want somebody to get something done, ask the busiest people in town.
Exactly.
And they all have growing families, all have jobs, all have sit on boards and committees. And I really think that they are one of Kiowa County's most significant assets.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I think our community now is more poised for younger families and for more growth. You know, I find it interesting when I go different places and they say, well, is Greensburg back yet? You know, and I say, well, no, not yet, but we're working on it. And that's the thing that you and I may not see we may not see in our lifetime what Greensburg is going to be.
What really back is.
means.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, what is back?
We hear people refer to the Udall tornado.
Yeah.
And I personally have not asked Udall if they're back yet, but that was in the 50s. And I guess I just would imagine that they would tell you they're still working on it.
I bet.
So,
and you know, and every community is. And that was a kind of a new thought for me when I was reading about economic development, is that communities like Colorado Springs are as interested in economic development. I mean, it's not just a rural concern.
Not a small town thing.
Or a Midwest concern. all communities. You know, I know we get our hearts race a little bit, and well, they should, when a business closes or we see an empty building. And you go to the city and you see a lot of those, and I don't know if people there take it quite as personally or their hearts race quite as much when a store closes or somebody moves their business elsewhere. But that's just, you know, have you found that that's just part of the process?
I think so, and I think it's a journey, you know, and there'll be bumps on the road, and we'll be going uphill fast, and then we'll be slowing down a little bit. I remember years ago people saying, well, you know, I like Greensburg just the way it is. Well, I did too. I like Greensburg just the way it is now. But the thing about communities is they don't stay the same. They either progress or they go backwards. And if we like how it is now, we better make every effort we can to make it grow, because if we don't, it will fall backwards.
Right. If you're not changing, you're dying. You
Right.
know, and even that is a change. And I know people are often sometimes hesitant to embrace change, but as we've seen, you know, if that's one thing that 2007 taught us, it should have taught us that with change comes also, there sometimes comes some sadness and regret maybe, but there also comes the opportunity for possibilities that we never even imagined. You know, there's a bigger promise out there than what we realized. And I think that is so hopeful. No, Greensburg doesn't look the same. Kiowa County doesn't look exactly the same. All of our communities in Kiowa County have, you know, wondered how they can continue to grow. But without change, we're just going to stagnate.
Exactly, and I think the thing to remember too is that we had a tornado that let us know that. Let's turn the clock back to 2007 and say we didn't have a tornado.
You don't know how many times I have done that in my head when people have been, you know, whinging about, well, I didn't like the design of that building, or I didn't. You know, well, where would we be if we hadn't had the tornado? And what do you think?
Well, I think we're more progressive and more set for the future than we would have been had we not had a tornado. Do not misunderstand
No.
any sadness and grief and disaster
and that was lost,
and tragedy.
And it was mournful.
Yes. But the point I'm trying to make is we would have changed. Greensburg wouldn't have been the same regardless. And I think people could come back to Greensburg and say, you know what, it's just not Greensburg anymore, because the house they grew up in may not have been here, or they may have closed a street that they rode their bike on in the 50s. Ours is just a little bit more extreme than that. But I remember saying after the tornado that the people are what makes up this community.
You're right.
And they don't change. But in a way we do. And I like to think that all of us, this is my Pollyanna approach, of course it's not all of us, but the majority of us are better people for having the experience and the trial to deal with that. And which essentially makes us a stronger community.
And it gives us the confidence to know that if we can get through that, we're probably pretty well armed to get through whatever other battle is down the road as we continue to grow and change and evolve into something that we might never have imagined prior to this.
That's right. And I would like to remind you of something you said one time when it was a year after the tornado and we had gone to Chapman.
I'm always really afraid when people remind me of something I've said. I'm kind of on pins and needles about that. Oh my word, what did I say? Okay,
well,
go ahead.
Okay, here it is. Someone asked you if you had known now, or then what you know now, what would you have done differently? And you had a little time to formulate an answer, but what you said was, had I known then what I know now, I don't know that I would have rebuilt. I mean, there are some things that we don't know.
No.
So your personality, your tendency to go forward is what all communities this size have to endure, and the economic development of community, its ability to grow will be that kind of a personality that's going to face whatever challenge comes about and not dwell in the past or the bad things that have happened, but look for the good things. And that's how we sell our community.
Well, I think that's a really good sales point about Greensburg and all the other communities in Kiowa County, Mullinville and Haviland. And so if you have a business, large or small, we're ready for you. So come to Kiowa County. We're ready to embrace change, we're ready to support you, and we're ready to grow. Thank you for tuning in. When August rolls around, it's nearly impossible not to think about school. And as a teacher at our 21st Century Learning virtual school, I love back to school. Think about it. Nearly every store has their back to school displays front and center. There are new pencils, fine point pens, my personal favorite, crayons, markers, every kind of notebook, theme book, and paper you could ever imagine. Not only is it fun to prepare to go back to school, but actually being in school, while often fun, is both necessary and important. Isn't it just amazing how schools and the idea of going to school have changed in recent years? Technology and the opportunity for online long-distance learning have forever altered the face of education. While that may not be news, what might very well interest some of you is that, along with our traditional school here in Kiowa County, we also have a virtual school, 21st Century Learning Academy, which serves hundreds of students across the entire state of Kansas. In fact, our virtual school may be the very solution for some of you and your educational needs. Let me go over some of the benefits of long-distance learning. First of all, it's free. And now really, how often do you hear about anything these days being free? Because you can do all your learning from the comfort of your home or a local library, there are no lunch fees, locker fees, or any other kind of fee that you can think of. Now granted, if you want to learn from home, you will have to have a computer and internet. But that is almost standard equipment for most households these days. So, free. I mean, what a deal. So while your back-to-school supplies used to look like this, it can now look like this. Secondly, and let's be completely honest, a traditional classroom is not the perfect answer for every single student. Reasons for this vary from one family to the next. For instance, some children have health issues that impact their attendance. Others just might feel more comfortable and relaxed learning at home rather than among their peers. And then there are students who have a specific goal in mind and they're wanting to work as quickly as possible so that they can graduate early. As I said, there is no one reason why people choose online learning over the traditional classroom. But how awesome is it that we live in a time when choices exist for families? Third, we offer a staff of accredited, licensed teachers who are prepared to help you with any questions you might have. We can work together over the phone, through email. We can meet with you in a virtual classroom or at a local library. Now, for our under 18 age students, we use a program called Fuel Ed. And just like in a brick and mortar classroom, you will be reading, writing, and interacting with your instructors. Now, let me clarify just one point. If you are a high school student who is enrolled in another district and you are just needing to take a particular class for credit recovery, well, there is a charge for you. I know. But when you are graduating with your class, it won't seem like such a bad deal, now will it? Another advantage is that the 21st Century Learning Academy is for adults as well as grades 6 through 12. By enrolling in our program, adults also can finish their high school diploma. And you have to agree that nearly every job these days expects their adult employees to have, at the very least, a high school diploma. Our virtual school allows you to work at home while you finish these classes that you still need. I know you are busy, but if you just devote a couple of hours a day to getting finished, you will amaze yourself at how much you can accomplish. One of my favorite stories is about a little gal who, when she started our program, needed all 21 high school credits. That's right, she did not even have one high school credit. Now she, like many of you, was working. She had a teenage son, a toddler, a husband, and many other demands on her time. But you know what? She did what anyone does who is trying to accomplish a big goal. She just kept working on what was in front of her, and she just tried not to think about how much was ahead of her. Each day, she spent time working on school. Each day. Even if it was just an hour, she still logged onto her computer and did some lessons. I'm happy to say that she graduated in May of 2014 after being in the program only a little over a year. And she can now go on to cosmetology school, which had always been a dream of hers. To quote her, "Why don't more people do this? It's great." Well, that's what an education does. It opens doors. It provides possibilities where there weren't any before. And really, who doesn't want more choices, a chance at a better salary, a chance to maybe hold your head just a little bit higher because you finished school? So adults, I'm talking to you now. Even though you have a job, even though you have family obligations, you can do this. And when you're done, chances are you will be eligible for a better job, and you will have so much more credibility with your children because you did what you're wanting them to do. You finished school. So, enroll with us. It's a win-win situation. Go to our website, mullinville.org, and apply today. Oh, and don't forget, make sure you like us on Facebook. Take that first step. Enroll with 21st Century Learning Academy. You will never be sorry you did. You are in for a treat today as we listen to the music of Joyce Schmidt.